beautiful flower growing on some moss on a rock. It doesn't even have soil. It's going to be out this week, growing insurmountable odds in a rock, and it's beautiful. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your daily horoscope and energy reading for August 13th, which is Thursday. And you guys are still at my favorite spot. I'm just kind of trying to take you to different little locations. This right here is actually my swimming hole. If you were to dive straight down, and you guys can't see it, but if you guys were to dive straight down in there, you could literally dive straight in, and it feels like there's no bottom. There is, of course, because my kids used to go down there and they used to be in snorkels and scuba stuff, and they used to go down there and find all kinds of cool things. But it is super, super deep right here. In fact, I had to drag my computer and I had to drag my dog over here, and it was quite the endeavor, but thankfully my daughter was here to give me some logic of how to get over here. But it is gorgeous. Behind me is a great little bank that I really like to play at. Crawdads are all over in here, and I used to spend every single weekend in this spot just soaking up nature. In around 2012, when I went through some of the hardest years of my life, this little spot saved my life. I remember coming out here, and I had been working 80 hours a week, and I'd been working really, really hard to give me and my boyfriend at the time a really happy home. And, you know, I never took a day off. I never got into nature. And this is me. Like, you guys don't know me, but my middle name is Nature. And I remember when I finished my contract in my job, and my ex, he just decided to dissolve our partnership. I remember coming here every single weekend, and I remember just the stillness and the beauty of the sounds of nature, and just how calm this water is. Over there, it's very rapids, and that's where I was before, but over here, it's just so calm, and diving into water, and we all know that I have a lot of water elements in me, and so coming out here just really clears me, it clears all the decks, clears who I am, and just allows me to be me. At one in nature, you know, it doesn't matter what you look like in nature, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, or what kind of house you drive, or how old you even are. Out here, we're all experiencing the same thing. You know, nature energizes everybody the same way. And so I just want you guys to really, I don't know, I wanted to take you to a personal spot, because this week is very, you know, this week is very personal oriented. It's a very monumental week. Most of these weeks have been a progressive energy in manifesting change, manifesting progression, ascension. And so I really think where you can clear you is definitely going to be on the menu for this week. For me, it's nature. For me, it's getting out to the basics. It's the country. I'm a country girl. I was raised in the country. So, you know, where I find me, where I find who I am, is just definitely out being a little country girl looking for crawdads, and I don't know, looking for fish and trying to catch them with my hands, and, you know, just experiencing the Northwest. The Northwest has some of the most beautiful forests. To me, I didn't even understand how lucky I was to grow up in the Northwest until I went to other parts of the country and realized that, you know, the other parts of the country don't have forests. Not like we have forests. We have tropical forests. They are lush, and they are green, and they flourish down to every level with life. And that, you know, and you go to gorgeous Colorado and it's just scrub pines and it's just a different kind of forest. So I wanted you to connect with me where I connect, because, you know, we've got a big day today, and there's a lot of energy speaking to me, and so let's talk about them. So the moon and Mars are going to be conjunct, and they're only about, 6 degrees apart. And anytime you have energy conjunct, that means when one ignites one energy, it sets off the other energy. And so let's really talk about that. So your moon, which is your emotions, and Mars, which is your passion. So we're talking about getting you going from the inside. We're talking about emotional based reactions, and it's all in heart. It's all in creativity. It's all in romance. It's all in pleasure. You want to feel pleasure again. I think that's why I'm going out into nature and I'm going back to sources that give me great pleasure, because this gives me great pleasure to be in an environment where I am just fulfilling just basics about being on this planet. You know, I don't need a lot to be happy, but I need this. I need time like this. And so Mars wants you to go back out. It wants you to find where you want to pleasure seek, and your Leo energy wants you to get plugged back into who you are. Say you're a person who loves to fish and you haven't been fishing in like 10 years. Go fish. Go get back to the basics. Go get back to the passions that you have way back from when you were little, way back when you know, energy used to plug you in. I know what plugged me in when I was little was nature. It always has. It always has been a grounding point for me. Then we have the sun and Venus, which is in Leo, which is in retrograde. So we're talking about old past stuff that's coming up. And that is all deep. That's all deep within. If you don't have peace within your center, what everything revolves around, then you don't even know how to manifest. And so getting back to the basics, getting back to where it's raw, getting back to where it's real. For some people, it's surfing in the ocean. For some people, it's hiking. For some people, it's fishing. For some people, it's going out in a boat. For some people, it's, you know, it's working on an endeavor that's going to get you ahead in the future. I mean, all of us have these things that just genuinely plug us in and make us feel amazing. And I think that that's what you're going to be revisiting. And this is all this conjunct energy. So I think if we go out and we feed ourselves with these sources, it's going to feed us and it's going to plug us in authentically. And then I think we're going to start to see progression and forward movement and ascension. Also, what we have today is Jupiter and Mercury are going to conjunct both in 0 degrees. So we're talking about baby degrees. When anything is in 0 degrees, it's at the beginning of manifesting that energy. Jupiter wants to expand your analytical thought processes in your daily routines, in your mental health and well-being routines. For me, I think what I'm feeling from the energy is that I need to go spend more time in nature, being authentic, going back to my roots, you know, letting nature fill me up and emanate through me, taking you guys on tours of some really beautiful spots in the Northwest, and, you know, making you guys part of my family, and, you know, exposing you to areas that I actually don't expose a lot of people to. You know, that makes me feel plugged in. It makes me feel energized. It makes me feel like I want to do this stuff more and more and more and more as I get out and I become more authentic with you guys. So that's the kind of energy. It's also great to be out here mentally and physically. Physically, it's exhilarating. I have to scale down a cliff. I could probably show you. So you see that bank over there? I've got to scale down that little guy to get to where I am right now. And so that, you know, that takes some physical exertion to get down here, and then climbing around the rocks and playing and looking at frogs and finding things that, you know, just beat insurmountable odds. It just plugs me back in and makes me think that this is my calling, this is my authentic purpose, and this is what I'm supposed to do. All of these energies set off each other. They're all one. So when one sets off another, the other one sets off another, and the other one sets off another. If you can find that authentic plug-in, I feel that you will be set off passionately. You will be sent off authentically. You will be sent off analytically. You will be sent off expansively. Like, there is so much energy in setting off a chain of events. You don't understand. The little tiniest thing can set off a chain of events that actually manifest change in a way that you could never know. Yes, it could set off a chain of events that brings in something super bad, and you meet a person and that person drags you down. Or it could be something where you just simply pull out all of that stuff that's under the bed, and that those creative projects that you have, and you plug back into them, and you begin to slowly develop a routine that lets you start embarking on those creative endeavors. And as you set up those routines, your creative juices flow, your authentic purpose flows, and then you become alive again in areas that had previously died, but not only had died, but that had, those were the areas, those were the directions that you were supposed to go that you just plain forgot about, you know, that you just, I don't know, that you just didn't remember that were in there. You know, when you get into adulthood and you get into, you know, providing for families and providing for the things that you have to do and meeting expectation at work, you kind of forget who you are, which is what I think today is going to happen. So today we are going to have a power struggle with Pluto and Capricorn and Uranus and Aries. I think what that has to do with is finding our authentic purpose, but making that authentic purpose pay off and create stability. So a lot of people think that if you live authentic and you are creative, that you can't provide yourself a stable outcome, and then therefore you're going to have this you know, this feeling of like, well, if I do this, it's going to go outside, you know, it's going to conflict with my job. What if my job found out that, you know, okay, I have this problem. What if my job found out that I was an astrologer, and that creatively I come out here and I tell you all about astrology every day? I mean, what if that happens? You know, if that happens, I could lose my job because it's teaching and it's very analytical, and this stuff is very metaphysical. And, you know, I did suffer with that, I don't know, that dichotomy, but then I needed to express myself, to have hope, to want to prevail, to want to move forward. So I think some of you may experience that internal struggle. I also think that it's easy to fall into patterns that are from your South Node wiring. So I'm a Virgo. I like repetition. You know, my South Node is in Virgo, so I love, love, love repetition. When you are creating something, there's no repetition. You are taking something, manifesting something in your brain, and you are creating it from nothing. There is nothing about my predisposed wiring that supports creating a channel. That is Pisces Ascension, my North Node. That is Ascension, right? That is taking something from my creativity, from my brain, from something that isn't analytical, manifesting it from illusion and from fantasy, and making it a reality. It is very inventive energy. You know, the way that I practice astrology, it's not normal. It's not normal astrology. It's very psychological. Yes, there are psychological astrologers, but I kick it up a notch, and I look at energy as a motivational tool. And so it's very forward thinking, and I don't think that's on board with the typical astrology community. And so, yeah, for some people, my messages are very out there, and that's okay, because those aren't the people that I'm trying to reach. If they want that kind of, you know, typical thinking, very Pluto, very, you know, it makes sense, it's very linear thinking, you know, then I'm not going to appeal to you. So I think for some of you, you're going to have that struggle with predisposed wiring. Tells me that I'm really good at repetition work. I'm really good, and I'm happy, and I'm sustained in it. but I stay stagnant. I don't excel in those energies. I don't move forward. I don't progress. I just do what somebody tells me to do, and I like it. But that's not in the end, that's not going to get me into my the point in my life where I'm supposed to be, which is supposed to be ascending. This brings me to my next point. Saturn in Scorpio is in its last degree. So we're talking about, it's trying to go off with a bang. It's trying to tell you, it's trying to give you a message to say, change yourself. I have given you tools. I have given you extensive lessons. I have given you years of lessons. And so now it's time to take all of those lessons that I have given you, and it's time to go on the job and put them out into the world and make them something that you can excel from. But it is something that you have to get on board with mentally. That is difficult when you first started out. So I think many of you this week and many weeks to come are going to be experiencing the squares. And it is just that opposition to not want to do that, which makes you fall into the lower vibration. Anytime you have a square, we're not talking about energies that are opposing, that are like two energies that are here that want to meet in the middle. We're talking about energies that are working in low vibrations. Anytime you have a square, I think it pulls energy down into the lower vibration of that energy. Lower vibration of Saturn energy is fear. Absolutely. Fear, psychologically, I think where you fall, where you have poor coping methods you face. I think it is where you find that if you face that fear, do you want to succumb to it? And if so, if you succumb to it, then is it the death of a part of you? Or is it, I face that fear, I move forward, and it is a new birth. It is a new part of me. It is a superpower in me. I think we're facing that kryptonite feeling and that superpower feeling where we kind of feel like we can fly right now, but what if something comes along and gives us kryptonite and pulls us back down? And so I think because there's so much pulling back energy, we have a lot of planets in retrograde. So there's a lot of energy that still is making us feel like we can't fly, like we can't move forward, that we can't progress, that we can't ascend. And so I really want you guys to not get caught up in that. And that's what telling you guys all of these energies are all about. Because if you see yourself pulling backwards and not having the faith in yourself that you need, then that is just more energy for you to say, I'm not falling into the low vibration, into that square. I'm not. I am going to use energy that's in opposition and meet in the middle. So we want to stay away from the squares. We want to stay away from fear. We want to stay away from stuff that pulls us back into these past patterns, and we want to go forward. Now, and the reason why is because Saturn, if you do that, okay, so if you stop succumbing to fear, stop being pulled back, stop thinking that you don't deserve more, then what's going to happen is you're going to experience a trine today. Trines are very easy energy. It's not energy that you have to try to have. It is self-indulgent energy. It can be very lazy energy, but it can also be energy that just works so harmoniously together that they are seamless. It's kind of like if you are a model that's been walking down the catwalk forever, right? You just walk down the catwalk and you strut your stuff and you know what you're doing. It's not like that model that's trying to learn to strut. It is like the model that's been doing it forever that's strutting her stuff. Okay, it's kind of like that energy. So if you are in progression movement, ascension, forward movement, then you're going to experience some very easygoing energy. It's going to feel like energy just falls into place. It's going to feel very easy today, you know? So Mars, which is in Leo, is going to be trining with Saturn in Scorpio. So we're talking about Saturn, for some of you, is going to remove a ton of obstacles, is going to see what you do with it. It's going to see. It's going to say, you know what? You don't have anything more standing in your way. I took away your obstacles. What are you going to do with it? Now, this is a scary subject for some of us because, as we both know, that some of us, when we get opportunity, we feel sometimes that it's just too scary to move forward, and so we fall into past patterns because those are familiar. Familiar energy makes more sense to us than always progressive energy. And so today is going to be one of those days where I think you need to decide. You need to make a choice. You need to say, energy is so easy right now. This opportunity fell into my lap. It ignites me. It's very passion-based. It's very raw. It's very core-like. It's very me. And it is progressive. Am I going to choose that energy? Or am I going to fall back into familiar energy, past patterns, past people, past issues? Those are all very familiar with me, but they are also very limiting. They are square energy, guys. Understand the difference between square and understand the difference between opposition, and understand the difference between quincunx. Quincunx is opposition. It'll never ever work. Squares are energies that have you fall into the lower vibration. And opposition is energies that could actually meet in the middle, that could actually get you to the next step by facing both your weaknesses and your strengths. So if we understand how energy works, how it motivates us, how it talks to us, how it stimulates us, then we can take our energy sources and go in the directions of whatever we want to do. Some of us want to stay stuck. Some of us don't want to progress. Some of us don't want to ascend. You know what? Because familiarity means more to us. The unfamiliar world makes us accountable. It makes us have to be out there alone. It makes us have to be a survivor. It makes us have to find a new road. That's very scary for people who, like me, I like old energy. I like it controlled. I like to know what my future holds. I like to know where I'm going in energy. I like to know all that. I need that security. It's very scary to open a door, and if you've been in a very closed off room, a 4x4 room, like, you know, you got 4 walls, and you got one door, and you just keep that door closed. It's kind of like agoraphobic. They can't get outside that door. That door, when they open the door, it's so vast and so big and so opportunistic that they can't move forward. That's what you're going to experience today. You get to choose energy, how you choose it. That's completely up to you. But I want to say that if you choose the right energy, if you choose trine energy, if you choose progressive energy, energy's easier than you remember. I think we've been comparing it to energies that we always have had, and so we don't know how to be an energy source out there shining authentically with all of this new expectation. It's super scary, guys. Look, we'll get through the week together. We have a lot to think about. We have a lot to manifest. We have a lot to change. Change is very scary. So let's not rush all this energy. Let's be very slow. Let's be very progressive. Let's think things through together. And I want you to be patient. I want you to be like the energy of a Taurus or the energy of Capricorn energy. And I don't want you to be self-indulgent, put Band-Aids on, and just, want to self-medicate and give you instant gratification. This is not going to be supported this week, guys. What's going to be supported is very deliberate energy. It's very slow. It's very, it's very different energy. Definitely. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.